Hello everyone, I'm Rebecca Keppel. In today's video, I'm sharing new cards made with Waffle Flower's latest April 2021 release. Some of my favorites from this release are additions to their stamp and stencil line, including the birthday pups and kitties combinations. And you know, I love their oversized word dies. They have a new addition to that collection as well with their oversized smile combination. So let's jump right into taking a look at these new products and making some cards with them. First up, I'm going to use the brand new Confetti Stencil Duo, and every time I stencil, I use Therm's Pixie spray. It is a repositionable adhesive that sprays on, but you need to wait until it dries. I've mentioned this before, but if you don't let it completely dry on the stencil, it can tear up or just kind of moisten the paper too much. You want it dry on the stencil before you put it down on your paper. I am working on my Waffle Flower water media mat. It's my favorite mat to do ink blending on. And then once that's dry, I'm gonna place the stencil down on a 6x6 piece of white cardstock. It's Nina Solar White. And I am using the new Holtz domed blending foams with the Kitsch Flamingo Distress Oxide. Now these stencils, there's two of them in the pack, and they have a top and a bottom, and they recommend colors right on the stencil. So the top of this one says pink and the bottom says yellow, and I'm just gonna go with their recommendations because they designed the stencil, they know what they're doing. So I had the pink and yellow, and now I'm going to line up the blue and green, and you'll see that there's actually little etched lines on the stencil so that when you flip them around, you can line them up with the images that you've already ink blended. It's very hard to see in camera because everything is white on white, but it is really easy to line these up and to get all your colors down. So now I have pink and blue on the top and yellow and green on the bottom. So now I'm gonna flip the stencils around, and this is where those little etched lines come in handy, and that's kind of what I'm pointing to. So you can see the green showing through. There's little lines on the stencil that are the same shape as those little lines of the confetti, and it just makes the stencil really easy to line up and flip around so that we can now do yellow on the top and pink on the bottom. We're gonna do the same exact thing with the other stencil. Yes, you could do the pink on the top and pink on the bottom, yellow on the top, yellow on the bottom. I just did it this way because I wasn't really sure where I was going with this until I realized how they are designed. So they are designed to get all four colors on both the top and the bottom, and then you have this nice area in the center that you can put your sentiment or images, or you could move the stencil around and get confetti throughout. So that's exactly what I'm going to do a little bit of. I've moved the stencil down a little bit, and I'm going to use Therm's Gina K Glitter Glitz Gels just to add a little bit of silver sparkle glitter look to some of these confettis. And like I said, I just moved it down a little bit so that it wouldn't cover up any of the color that we already put down with ink. I wanted these to be unique little pieces of confetti. And once you pull that up, these also add a little bit of dimension as well, which is really fun. It just adds a little something extra special. Now for the birthday kitty stencil, you have to clip out the tiny little face masks, or some of them are body masks. You just snip the little tabs that hold them in place, and then you have the little masks as well as the stencil. So you can see you also can get a stamp set that you could color in with Copics or whatever markers you like to color, but the stencil gives you another option of coloring in these images. And the nice thing about the stencil is that you don't have to worry about learning how to blend and shade and do all of those complicated things with Copics. You can just ink blend. Makes it really, really simple to create the cute images. So I'm using Distress Oxide ink in tea dye to ink blend over the stencil of the little kitty that is laying down and is going to be holding balloons. And I'm just really just applying that ink down. You don't have to do anything too fancy there. And now I'm going to add ink to the first balloon and to the little pom-pom on top of the hat. Those are all connected to that one image. And you can tell how everything is grouped together. So each kitty has its own images grouped right around it, as well as its little face. Everything is kind of contained in an area. So you can see here that the hat has a little indentation on the top of the kitty's head, and that shows you where to put the little birthday hat as well. It is designed really, really well to help you put it together, put the whole image together very quickly and easily. You can see I just had it a little too high up, so there was a little white spot, so I just put the stencil back down and color it in. Now this little kitty has a tail that has a colorful tip and little stripes, so I did that as well. This is the little kitty face that is on the stencil. There is an easier way to do this, and I'll do it in the next card when I have the dog. But for now, I'm just going to use a Copic multi-liner to fill in the little eyes, little nose, and the whiskers, and the balloon strings. So I lined it up using the balloon strings as my guide. And there you go. So easy. And then there's coordinating dies that you can get to cut out the images as well. So it's just a really different and fun way to create an image rather than stamp layering or Copic coloring. I am going to stamp 2 of the sentiments from the stamp set right on that confetti background, and then I'm going to use some foam squares to pop up the little kitty with the balloon. I love how easy it is to pull that cute little cat with the stripes and everything together and add the little balloon in different colors, and creating that confetti background with the stencil was fun too. I added some Tonic Studios Nuvo Crystal Glaze to make those balloons shine, and that card is done. Waffle Flower also has a bundle this month with all their spotlight stencils. This is the Star Spotlight stencil. You can see there's tons of guidelines to help you manage to put the star on a square card, an A2, all of that. I'm using A2, so I've lined the card up with the A2 lines on the stencil, and then I'm ink blending the square. Now I'm using the mask that's included. I used a little Pixie spray and I laid it down on top of that ink blended star. And now I'm using one of the duo from the Confetti Stencils to ink blend a bunch of confetti. And I am now just using the top and the bottom of the stencil, and I'm just moving it all around the card. I don't want multicolored confetti this time. I just want the Broken China Distress Oxide ink. So I just keep moving it around to cover up this background to create a really fun look as well. That's also able to be created with one of the stencils. So I could definitely go in and use the other one, but I didn't think it was necessary. And then peel off that mask, and the star stayed perfectly pink while we blended. Now I'm going to use the Birthday Puppies stencil, and I'm using Hickory Smoke Distress Oxide ink to ink blend this puppy sitting up. His little tail and feet have another color. If you don't have another color, use the same color again on top and do a darker blend. And it looks great, I think, together with the one blend being a little bit lighter. This is an easy way to do the face. So put the mask from the dog right on top of him, making sure it's all nice and lined up, and then draw the eye. The mask has the eye cut out of it. Then take off the mask and lay the stencil down with the stencil of the eye over the eye that you drew, and that will help you perfectly line up the little nose and mouth. Now we can go in and do the rest. We can do the little birthday hat, which can be done in 2 layers. I just decided to do one color. Last time I did yellow on the pom-pom and the hat, and then did blue on just the triangle, and that makes like a green. It's really fun to play with your inks and to blend different colors with them. You can see how the balloons line up together. The one balloon is attached to the shape of the puppy, and the other one sits right inside the curve. Again, just line everything up, and you can draw the balloon strings with your Copic multi-liner. Then use the coordinating dies and cut out the puppy. And I'm going to trim down our panel to 4 by 5 1/4 so that I can layer it on some glitter cardstock. And I'm using Thermoweb's Ultra Bond glue because tape runner really won't do the trick here. You need something a little bit stronger, and just hold that panel in place until the glue bonds. And then I popped up the little puppy on some foam squares. And now I'm going to stamp 2 of the sentiments again. I'm stamping over the Distress Oxide ink blended confetti. So I am going to use VersaFine's pigment ink. It's black onyx, and it will sit on top of everything else that we already did on this panel. I do stamp it twice though, still, just to really get that crisp black impression that you can really see on that confetti background. Last but not least, some Tonic Studios Nouveau Crystal Glaze on the balloons themselves and on some of the larger confetti pieces, just to add a little bit of dimension and shine to those. And again, just a really simple way to create a really layered and textured look without having to do any blending or shading. One of my other favorites from this release is the Stitched Flower panel die, and I'm going to use it to cut out this alcohol ink background. This is one that I did not use in my last video about brayers. I'll link to that here so you can see it, but I decided to die cut it out with that panel and then turn it into a shaker card. So I'm using Judikin's embossable plastic because it's already cut down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I'm going to put some tape runner behind the alcohol ink panel that we cut with the flower stitch panel die. Just put a little tape runner everywhere. This, it doesn't matter as much. When we start to create the shaker, it really does matter that you have a little bit of adhesive everywhere. This one, it doesn't matter as much. So we just wanted it to adhere to create that window. Now I've used the same panel die to cut out 2 pieces of white fun foam. I'm gonna pop out all these pieces. I also popped out the pieces from the alcohol ink. We're gonna put them aside and we're gonna use them in the next card. So don't think that I throw things away. I hardly ever do. So I like to save all my scraps in little pieces like this and try and use them right away so that they don't sit in a drawer or a file folder or wherever else, and then I forget about them. This is where it's really important. I want each of these little flowers to be its own shaker window. So I need glue all around. I'm using, again, Thermoweb's Ultra Bond glue. It's a really strong, clear drying glue. So I am going to put that all on the bottom. I adhered it down to an A2 white panel, and now I'm putting it on the top, but all around those open spaces so that glue touches glue everywhere. And then put that top foam on top. Once it's dry, because it does take a little bit longer to dry, I am going to put shaker goodies inside all of the little openings here. So I'm using some very tiny iridescent confettis from Pretty Pink Posh inside all the open spaces. And then I'm going to do a rainbow just in the flowers, I think. I do get some of the smaller spots, but mostly in the big flowers of the colors that are on the alcohol blended piece. So I'm kind of mimicking the colors that I used on that piece going down the shaker windows. Okay, now some more Ultra Bonds on top. Again, there needs to be glue connecting to glue around all those open spaces, or the shaker goodies are not going to stay inside, and you're just going to be so sad when somebody goes to shake them and they all come out. Then just lay that top window down on top, make sure everything sits and dries, and then you have this really gorgeous rainbow shaker. I promised we were going to use the die cut pieces. So these are the positive pieces. So I'm adhering those positive pieces of the alcohol inked background that we die cut from that flower stitched panel die, and I'm adhering them onto the white foam that we die cut to create the shaker window. I die cut a piece of white cardstock from the panel as well, and I'm just going to adhere it down to an A2 piece of white cardstock with some tape runner. This is kind of my guide of where I'm going to put my flowers. Once I have that done, I am going to use the Ultra Bond again because I am adhering the foam down to paper, and I am going to just have fun playing with colors in this arrangement here. So it's not going to be the same exact thing as the one that we die cut. I'm going to have a little fun putting some blues in the center and on the corners, and then mixing and matching where the pinks and oranges go. Just pleasing to the eye, and I just love the dimension of it, all the different colors. I don't have the swipes going in all the same direction. It's just a more playful look. This is the Oversized Smile die, and I did a whole video on all of Waffle Flower's oversized word dies, and I'll link to that here. This one's a little unique because you have a really thin scripty word, and then you get a shadow die too. So I am going to cut both of these out of different cardstocks. I'm going to cut the shadow out of vellum and the thin one out of this glitter cardstock from My Favorite Things. So I'm going to use iCraft Easy Cut Adhesive, which is a thin double-sided adhesive on both of these mediums because the adhesive will be hidden behind the vellum, and for the skinny one, it'll be a lot easier to adhere. So peel off one protective layer and lay the vellum down on top, and then just trim off any of the excess. We're going to do the same exact thing for the sparkle paper. Just put it down onto the exposed adhesive and then trim off the excess, and you're going to die cut to the side of the vellum or the sparkle paper. And then once you die cut it, you basically have a sticker. So you're just peeling off that word die off of the backing and then laying it down on the vellum and just lining up the little dot. This was super, super easy because the dot's actually pretty big. And then peel off the back protective layer of the vellum, and now you have this really cool sticker to place on your card panel. So I am going to place this one right in the center. The reason that I wanted to use the vellum here is because I wanted to see the colors underneath. I didn't want to hide any of the colors. So I really love the vellum shadow here. I think that's a lot of fun. Same exact thing here, just peel off the sparkle smile, that's that really thin script word, and lay it down on the vellum shadow. And once you line it up, I like to do one letter at a time to really make sure I get it straight and in the position it's supposed to be. Then put the little dot, it's got sticky on the back, and then peel off the back protective layer of the vellum and lay that down on the card. I decided to do this one horizontal, which I think is kind of a fun look too. So all that's left to do is to create some sub-sentiments using the Oversized Smile stamp set. So I have Hope This Makes You Smile and then Sending You a Smile stamped in black ink on white cardstock and adhered to those panels. I hope you enjoyed seeing the new products from Waffle Flower this month. Don't forget that every month that they release new products, they also have a blog hop where they give away gift cards to their shop. My blog is one of the stops on the hop, so I will link to that in the YouTube description box below the video so you can enter to win. If you like seeing new products and how to use them, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit that bell so you can be notified every time I have a new video available. I want to thank you so much for stopping by today. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you again soon. So what's what? If you like seeing new products and how to use them, if you like seeing new products and how to use them, that's 3 times now, maybe 4.